special on stamps here lately? We sure got a lot of letters.
I didn't catch that. Yeah.
So it will be the same like vote for this?
Correct. Because it's the Board of Commissioners, the board recognizes, and the board hopes. Wait, I got two at the same school, or did you give me? Oh, you gave me two of each. No,
There should be the,
I have all three to the same school district.
okay, but somebody else has the other.
Good to hear.
Does someone else have the three to 298? So
One
are
is
we?
set for you, or for each of you.
Oh, okay, so here's somebody's. Do you want a copy? Where's that one?
298.
Yeah, this one's yours. This is 299.
Okay, you need a
Yes,
298.
thank you. And we won't sign it until she brings us the final one.
We received several letters here in support of the nursing home. I think rather than read them all, I would just say that one letter is from Stephen Marco Chard, Kay Jackson, Lyle and Patricia Hare, and Mrs. Karen Holmes. basically, they all think that, we need to do everything we can to keep it up and going and operating. You want to read them? You can read them all if you want to.
More anonymous letters.
Do what?
I said more anonymous letters here. People, if they can't sign it, I don't. Okay, so this is from the Division of Property Evaluation from the state. Dear County Commissioners, enclosed are the final results of your county's official 2017 real estate appraisal and sales ratio study pursuant to the requirements of KSA 79-14-89. We are pleased to report that the county appraiser has met the statistical performance standards established for both commercial, industrial, and residential classes of property. These include the overall level of appraisal, measured by the median ratio, and uniformity within each property class, measured by the coefficient of dispersion. A complete listing of the individual sales used in the determination of these performance statistics has been provided to the appraiser. Signed by the Director, Division of Property Evaluation. Do either of you know what a valid sale is versus a trim sale?
I think the valid sale one actually took place. And the other one was probably a transfer in the family, maybe, I'm not sure.
We received a letter from the insurance K-Camp that says that there's a reimbursement in the amount of $140 for one of the deputies' completion of an interviewing technique course, which is something that we talked about earlier in the year, so that's good to see that we're utilizing that reimbursement program. We have $560 remaining for 2018. So we have a resignation from the Lincoln Rec Board by Elizabeth Sheldon. Should we contact the suggestions of replacements?
I would say so.
Dawn, would you be willing to do that? Maybe send out a letter asking them. We have 4 suggestions for replacement on the board. And then we have letters written regarding the nursing home. As a concerned resident of Lincoln County, I'm writing in regard to the issues involving our local nursing home. From experience, I know how comforting it is to have your loved one getting good care in a nursing home in your hometown area. And from the economic viewpoint, it would be devastating for our county if the nursing home closed. The hospital, pharmacy, school, all would be affected in some way. So I would appreciate all you can do to keep Lincoln Park Manor operating. Respectfully, Kay Jackson. As a citizen who grew up in Lincoln and have now come home, I feel that the thought of giving up on the nursing home would and maybe already have a bad consequence on the community. If it is so bad that we need to rebuild, is that any better than really correcting the problems now? Do you realize how you will lose the workers who live here and in surrounding communities, and how that will affect the businesses and people here in the community? Are the present problems from not maybe putting in enough money to good contractors, that we get less good products and outcome from the building? Isn't it possible that most of the problems really are the advancement of medical equipment and the need of more electrical and personal needs like personal room TVs and computer needs? If the exterior and foundation is still good, why not update what there is and maybe add to it? What is the real difference in cost for either choice? Why not use contractors and products of Lincoln County who would probably put real concern into doing the best possible? Why would we want to give up on the manor? This is the county seat, and we need it for the people in our area. After all, I will be going there someday. If it seems too costly, what is the true interest of the county government, the dollars spent, or the total welfare of the county? If there's a need for a new structure, what about building a new manor before destroying the old building, one that looks toward the future needs? Sincerely, Mrs. Karen Honest, if I'm saying that correctly. As residents of Lincoln County, we would ask you to please do what needs to be done to keep our nursing home operating. We have had many relatives and many friends in need of the nursing home care. It has always been appreciated to know they were close for us to visit and keep them a part of our lives. It would be very discouraging and upsetting to think this would be changed. Also, it would be devastating to our community to lose the availability of the nursing home, the residents leaving town, many of the staff along with their families leaving, which in turn would affect our business. It would be bad for the economic health of the business in the county, including the pharmacy, hospital, and school districts. Please do whatever you can to keep our nursing home operating and being a very important facility in our community. Lyle and Patricia Hare. First of all, we wish to express our appreciation to you for your care and concern for Lincoln County and its residents. We acknowledge we do not know the complexities involved in operating a nursing home facility in a rural community. We do believe, however, that having a local business such as Lincoln Park Manor available is vital to the county goal of attracting new people and keeping current residents within our towns and county. On a personal note, one of our family members was a resident of Mid-America's assisted living as well as the nursing home. We were pleased with the quality care provided and appreciated the comfort and convenience of having family and friends close by. We believe it is important to tackle and solve the problems inherent with operating a quality facility rather than let it simply slip away. The economic impact of a closure would have a significant negative effect on Lincoln County. We hope you do whatever necessary to keep our nursing facility alive and vibrant, providing the quality care that our community has come to expect and so desperately needs. Thank you, Steve and Margot Sharp. And that would be the last of that correspondence.
What are the minutes from last week's meeting, July 9th meeting?
I move to approve the minutes from July 9th, 2018.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We got a note from the judicial district that they would like for us to nominate Jennifer to the board. We haven't had anyone attending since, I can remember who was doing it.
I've gone a couple times, but most of it would be pertinent to her job, not necessarily ours. So I so move to appoint Jennifer O'Hare to the 12th Judicial District upon her consent.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion?
I received a call from the chairman of that board asking us to appoint Jennifer O'Hara. I questioned her on whether they had been in contact with Jennifer, and they had been, and said she was willing to serve.
There's no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. We have some bills from street plumbing for Lincoln Park Manor, $550 for a copper line leaking in the tunnel, which I think may be our responsibility. However, there is one they were called in to see if the sewer was plugged, and they found out that the toilet had overflowed and it was still running. I think that falls on the responsibility of the tenant. And the other one is a replacement of the commercial water heater, a 100-gallon commercial water heater for $6,355, and a labor rate of $97.50 an hour, which comes out to $487.50 in labor.
Says it was on the Saturday, so.
I would move to approve the bills for Lincoln Park Manor for the water line leak and the water heater, rejecting them addressing an overflowing toilet.
I have a motion to pay two of the three bills for the Lincoln Park Manor street plumbing. Got a second?
I'll second.
Got a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 One of the things we just handed that. He came in and handed it to me.
Oh.
So that's why I don't think
He's on the agenda at 10.
Yeah. Don, you take it Greg is coming back, or?
Yes, we got on the agenda at 10.
Okay.
Well, wait, see. Yeah, we can do that. We've got some letters prepared to send to the school concerning the web money that we're offering them to complete some of the repairs.
Okay. Jennifer had a couple of changes as well.
Okay.
So, and then Alyssa's had a couple of changes, so we should have some more changes.
No, I want. So you're gonna redo it, Don?
Yes, I just can't quite get onto my
That's all right.
computer yet.
Jennifer, I guess we can go ahead and use
Thank you.
your. We appointed you to the Authority District as this board, I guess they had talked to you.
Yeah, they had talked to me to see whether or not I would want to serve again on it, and I told them that I thought I could probably fit that in. I had a couple things for the board, and then I would like to request an executive session to discuss potential litigation regarding Lincoln Park Manor. So if you'd like me to deal with this stuff first, I can.
I suppose so.
I printed off for you guys just so you could review it, the class action information that I'd received. Again, this is pretty much a low risk thing for us, and this is the only avenue available to us to kind of procure and to see whether or not there's any missing money for Lincoln County. This is just the information that I will have to fill out if that's the decision of the board to go forward with opting in on that class action regarding the PILT payments.
You don't think this will require any more of your time other than to fill in this?
No, counsel for the class action will be kind of taking care of it, and then I'll just be the conduit for you. We've got some time. I don't think this is anything you need to decide today. I think the opt-in may be in September 14th or something.
Yeah, that's what
So I just feel like you guys could look over it, take some time, and we could talk about it later on as more information becomes available to me. I kind of keep track of the listserv on those issues, so I want to make sure that if anything else comes up or anything forward. I think the consensus regarding county counselors in Kansas at this point is for counties who may be owed some money to opt in and just deal with it.
Dawn, can you make a note there to pop up on about the 1st of September so we don't forget to deal with this?
There's also a new case that has came up in the Supreme Court that I've been watching, and I kind of want to let this board know about it. It's Stormont Vail versus Board of County Commissioners for Jackson County. I believe KAC has been asked to file an amicus brief in that issue, and it regards mandatory confinement of prisoners and medical payments. That's a big deal for us in this community. However, this case, I think, widens that a little bit, and there are some people who are a little uncomfortable with it. Because if we're pursuing a suspect, we don't put him in arrest, but we have to call EMS, the county could still be liable for those costs for his medical. So this is something that I think...
Even when they're not under arrest?
Yes, it's widened it a bit. So I will tell you, my listserv was blowing up last week because a lot of counties similarly situated like us are very concerned because we work very diligently to try to keep our medical costs for our prisoners down because that could skyrocket exponentially very quickly. So, we kind of deal with that, I think, the best way we can while they're in confinement. But if they're going to widen that when we're in our pre-investigation stage or in our investigation stage or in our pursuit stage, I think that that's a significant concern for us with our budgets for law enforcement. So I'll keep you guys on the lookout for that. I just wanted to let you know that that's something that's kind of come about and is a concern for some of our smaller counties.
So Stormont Vail is
Stormont Vail is a hospital.
is trying to seek money or coverage from the counties during investigations. Is that kind
Yes.
of basically what it was?
I mean, and I think what the biggest conundrum I think that I see it happening is we are seeing a shift within our state governments to kind of keep people out of prison, okay? And we're trying to do more social services, we're trying to do more treatment, we're trying to do all of this. And I think, you being on that board and every one of you being on that board has kind of seen the push for that for years. I see there's going to be some new changes coming about after July with drug treatment cases and other stuff. And it's really pushing a lot more back on us counties. And so I think we just need to be very vigilant about that because that's going to be a concern for us. It's harder to get people to prison, but it's easier to put them into county jails. And when they're in county jails, they're our problem. So just so you know, I see that is kind of a tenor in our criminal justice policies that we're seeing across the board, and it's difficult because it kind of comes back obviously on us to fund it, to deal with it, to pay for it. And we don't necessarily have the money in order to do that. So, I'm very lucky in my position that I have, the sheriff and undersheriff and law enforcement that I do, that, that we constantly talk about the prisoners that we have and what's going on with them, and try to deal with that the best way we can. But ultimately, there's always that one case that can blow it up for everyone. So, but yeah, I think that's going to be more and more common, especially when you're having more care and treatments. And I think that's what Stormont Vale kind of came about too, which are care and treatments and the medical costs associated with that. So it's not surprising that this is a case that's going up, just because there's always been a dance between law enforcement and hospitals about who pays for what and how we're able to do that when it comes down to prisoners that don't have any money.
Do we have our choice as to where they are serviced? I mean, they can't demand as an individual that they be taken out of county, correct?
Right. I mean, and we work really, we work very well with the Lincoln County Hospital, and we've been able to have discussions with them. I know sheriff has been up there and undersheriff is up there, regarding treatment and such. There's a couple times when we've had to go out of county when there's just specific needs, and it may be somebody who's on track to go to prison, and we can't really let them out and deal with that. But I do try to, especially if it's a debt case or if it's a collection case, we're not going to spend $4,000 of the county money to collect $500. So we usually stay on top of that, and our judiciary is very easygoing when it comes to those kind of issues, as long as there isn't significant public safety risks. So we try to do the best we can. But just know that that's out there. Nothing has been decided. They're just doing amicus briefs. I don't perceive it to come down anytime soon if it's the Supreme Court. Maybe another year or so. But it's just something that I think is...
Kansas Supreme Court.
Yeah, I think this is something that you may see if you go to KAC conferences coming up. There may be some discussion about how that is going to affect us. So, I think those are the main things. I did review that letter, and I provided some too regarding Dawn, but at this point, we need to discuss our Lincoln Park Manor situation and what I need to be doing and what I don't need to be doing.
I move we go into exec session. How long do you want?
I think 15 minutes would be sufficient.
15 minutes with county attorney. You want Dawn in?
I don't have a problem with Dawn staying in.
I think it'd probably be a good idea. I'll move with county attorney and Dawn and 3 commissioners for, what do you call this, legal advice? or
Attorney-client privilege regarding potential litigation.
Potential litigation.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That is,
Do we need to make any announcement?
I would like to make a motion.
Okay.
No, I mean, we need
I would like a motion regarding the
Yeah, I
inventory.
move, Dawn, are you ready? To request a complete, up-to-date inventory list from Lincoln Park Manor.
I have a motion to request a current inventory list for the Lincoln Park Manor. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion?
Do you-
Not. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is there a time that you would like that to be presented by?
2 weeks. I guess it'd be
Um,
about the first.
First, yeah, that would make sense. Dawn, would you send in the correspondence that we'd like it by the 1st of August, please?
And I would think as a normal course of business, that's something that we should have on hand at all times anyways. I attached the caseload statistics so this board can see that there's a continuing trend that doesn't seem to be abated at any time regarding our numbers, as well as the involvement that my office has. As far as I'm concerned, the county attorney's office doesn't really exist when I took over 18 years ago. Things have significantly changed, and we've received more and more mandates from the state as to what we need to do and how we need to do it. I've attempted to reconfigure items and things so that those are kind of borne by the county, in that for the last 18 years and even more, the prior two to me, we've kind of done it on a different basis. I do believe that there are significant public safety risks that we are taking on at this time. I believe that we should be in the courthouse. I do believe that this board needs to revisit the security issues on the top floor of this courthouse within probably the next 2 years to see whether or not there needs to be any changes to that. The sheriff's office does assist us with that. They do a very good job with that. However, I think that this is going to come at us in a time frame that we need to be doing things a little different.
So do you think that we need the third floor secured 5 days a week during open hours? Or?
I'm not there yet, but I'll probably be there in a year. I do not, I would like to be in the courthouse. I think it works better for me. I think based on the fact that I've been holding off on some case management software because full court is now getting tossed aside. That's what the clerk's office uses. We are now within a test kind of pilot program where we're going to be doing some different stuff. So I will not buy case management software until I know that it actually works with what is happening upstairs. So this is something that I've wanted for some time, and I do think that it would be helpful. You know, I think that there's significant safety risks for myself and my staff doing what we do. And I've tried to deal with it the best way I can. It's not as though I haven't had to call 911 down at my personal office, because I have. And I think we need to deal with that accordingly. And I can't find another way to deal with that other than to move up to the courthouse. And I do not want to be on any floor but the third floor. I think I should be with commensurate safety risks. Now, I understand that there is space issues. We are all aware of the footprint that we work in here with the courthouse. However, I think if this is a discussion, or if this is a decision this board wants to make, then I think we need to talk about what that means. You know, there is space up there that we could utilize, but it's going to take the county spending some money in order to make those.
Do we have to have a jury room?
We do have to have a jury room, because I don't know how we would move office stuff out. However, I have thought about maybe moving those rooms a little bit so that I could have the bigger jury room, and then we could use my office for a jury room. You know, but that would take us figuring out where to put the district court files that are currently housed within the jury room that has to be underneath lock and key. So this is not something that I have just ran with.
You need to be able to separate yourself from the secretary?
I think I'm hoping with the case management software, I do think that, I will continue to have a private law office in this town. I think that there are some cases where the confidentiality of it is very concerning to me, for me to meet with people up here. You know, when I deal with victims of violent crimes, when I deal with children and all those other things, I really feel like that's difficult for me to do that, because no matter what, everybody sees them going upstairs. So I will meet with some of those at my private law office regardless. However, I think with the case management software and with the availability of some other rooms, I may be able to deal with that accordingly. So, I think at this point it is what it is.
The jury room could be used as a conference room for you if we moved it over to...
Absolutely. As long as court services isn't there and other people aren't there.
What happens in this room at the far south here, beside economic development? Anything? Is that where they have their board meetings?
No, they have their board meetings up.
In here?
There's no out.
I mean, what are we, I'm just saying like emergency management. Are we thinking about?
I think maybe the corner office of the, if,
On the first floor?
down here.
Lisa's office?
Yeah, couldn't she,
Consolidate into the other room?
do they need 3 different offices? The problem with that office is the only way into it is through
Through there,
the
yeah.
common general.
What is this interior wall?
That's an office over there.
But I'm saying, could there be made an entrance through the interior wall of the
Oh.
No, because the elevator shaft made this.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
If I had my wish, if I did have the jury room, it would move into the storage room if there was the potential to build kind of an office off of that in
What
some
would
way.
Oh, you would have an office of them. What are we gonna do with those files? Where are we gonna put them?
That's what I'm saying.
I could go up. and
These are
look.
discussions that need to be had.
You mean
I'm
from
just
the jury
telling.
room, make your office to the north?
I could go up and
Toward
look
the
it over and
courthouse.
see what it would take. I
Can
wouldn't have
we-
a problem doing that. I could go up
Are those, I mean, they just seem to grow. Is that the way it's gonna be?
Well, I mean, I have significant, I have significant files too that I have to keep.
Yeah, but do we just add to them? We never get rid of anything up there?
Well, there's specific mandates that they have, where
Yeah,
they
I
have
know.
to keep them for a period of time. But I think you're right, there's a greater discussion as to where is really the storage facility for the district court and the county attorney's office. Could we do something in the storage area up there where we could move those things and have the potential to kind of add as needed rather than constantly reshuffling things?
You just
I mean,
need.
this courthouse is difficult when it comes from office management. We know that. That's why I've never really been up here.
You would just
Yeah.
need a lockable area for those files.
Well,
But I think I could put those within the office that I have. And with the case management software, I'm hoping that I can kind of change things up a little bit and do things in a way where we're having least restrictive on space, but have the availability of those.
Dawn, if we utilize the commission room as an office for HR, where were you gonna put the election equipment that's in the closet?
Well, right now, the storage room, but,
What storage room?
that she's talking about,
That's, yeah.
that is our, to be honest with you, courthouse is running out of storage rooms to begin with. So maybe the solution is to find alternate storage.
Is this vault?
Or we talk about,
Yes, it's a vault.
Do we have to have on-site storage or can it be off-site?
It can be off-site, they just have to be secure.
Okay.
So, the health department out here, the building's just too small. If you have ever been out there, it really doesn't have much storage spot, but,
That used to be the sheriff's office,
yeah.
believe it or not.
And the
Up
sheriff's
here.
office has one side, but it would not hold everything that's upstairs. And some of it is us just, we need to, instead
Make a
of our
cutoff.
chair breaks, go up, take it upstairs in case somebody else might want it. Nobody's gonna want you to
Have a
the chair
clean
and
out.
throw it away.
yeah.
There must be 20 printers up there. Well, why are they up there? Did it stop working? Some of that is that. But,
How do
there-
we schedule a cleanup? When was the last time?
a very long time ago. There are 2 doors to that back room. There's one at the end and one that would be, adjacent to the jury room. And the jury room does already have a door that walks through to it.
Mhm.
So, we could probably easily build a wall.
I mean, some of my files are already up in that storage, so I'll be honest with you, there probably needs to be a better way of doing it than what we've done over the years. We've just kind of put things where we had space available to us.
Well, there's that storage area, there's nothing, none of those are structural walls.
Right,
They're just partition walls that have been put in the ground structure.
right,
The
right.
other question would be, does the courtroom need to be as big as it is? Could it, because it is one of those walls that is not completely finished, could it be moved back and us take out some views?
Good questions.
I think there's a lot of beneficial space up there.
Then we have the Historical Society to worry about.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to change the outside. I mean, you know, I have held off on this for many, many years, and you know, I feel like it's there. And with the caseloads we have, as long as the severity of things and what we're dealing with, I feel like it's there. I need to protect my staff, and this is where it needs to happen.
I think you're right, Jennifer, as I have visited with the commissioners judicial in Junction City. That has become a concern of now Dickinson County is moving that way. Washington County, in fact, I think Dickinson County will secure their courthouse next year. And I think he said it was $100,000. So, you know, they are becoming, that is becoming a real concern, security. So, it doesn't speak well of the times, I don't think, but that's the way it is.
Well, I can go up and look it over and come up with some ideas maybe.
I mean, I'm open to things. I mean, I really worked hard on this budget to kind of keep it within line. I'm cutting some staff that I'm kind of taking on more of those responsibilities myself. You know, but I really need one full time. I mean, there is so much that I could be doing more. There's things that it becomes overwhelming. And I'm not saying that I won't revisit that issue with the next budget year, but I would like to give it a go to see if I can kind of maintain within fiscally where we were at last year, but also deal with things in a more appropriate fashion. And you know, like I said, I think the safety of my office and my staff is paramount. And you know, I would love to sit here and say there's billions of dollars that you guys have that we could build a new jail and offices and we could have a law enforcement center, but I just don't think that that's feasible within what we're dealing with. So, you know, I've held off thinking that potentially if we go in that route, but that may not be for many, many years, if at all. So this is what I think we need to do now.
What is the increase, the total increase from last year? So the 19 budget request.
It's actually less than what I put in last year.
Because I see 126, 200, and what did we go with last? 120?
125. I think.
125.
Yeah, I think I put in about 127 last
Yeah,
year.
I think
So
you did.
I think this is doable. I have a little room for movement on things, but I don't know what those are going to be. But I will tell you again, I'm not going to buy case management unless I have something that works. But I really feel like this is where we need to be going. I appreciate everything that this board has done over the years with me as county attorney and being able to work with it and trying to keep our budget as low as possible. I don't come here lightly knowing that we're going to be adding an employee, but I think it's time.
Well, I think it's not out of line. I mean, I like where this is going. My question would be, to have a full-time employee, are you going to make the requirement to be a qualified paralegal? If they're going to have an office in the courthouse and be full-time staff employed with county funds?
My current employee has an associate's degree from Fort Hays in paralegal and stuff, I mean, with legal training. I'll be honest with you, what my staff brings to the table is that they can work well with any judiciary around here. We are considered to be, in my opinion, we have a high opinion of individuals within our district of what we're able to do and how we're able to do it. And we have not lost money. We have thousands of dollars going through our office on a daily basis. So I'm more concerned about someone that's going to show up for work, that's going to be trustworthy, that's going to be hardworking, than a bunch of degrees that aren't really going to matter to me in the long run. Because I know what works for this community, because I've been doing it for 18 years. So with that, I know you've got other business. I will be in touch. Let Dawn know when you guys want to schedule another meeting for us to further discuss what we're dealing
Okay,
with.
thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Sounds good.
Okay, gentlemen, you're up.
Ready for us?
Yes, sir. I think so.
Good morning.
Good morning.
She's got a different feel. Last week, as you guys were aware, that I wasn't here because we were demonstrating a retriever disc. The developer of it was kind enough to come down from South Dakota with one of those machines to let us do it. I've been working a little over 2 years now to have them do a demo here. We went down to Lane County and looked at work and their soil type and their everything. And at the end of the day, he came down, we looked at it, and personally I was very pleased with what it did. The time of year we were doing it is not necessarily the best. I think it's best when your vegetation is dried and you're not dealing with that as much as we were, but we just recently mowed it and the vegetation was heavy, but it did a good job of chewing that up too. So didn't know if it'd be something you guys would be interested in allowing us to purchase. Got a little information here you guys can look at.
I did go out and look at it, watch it work. I was pretty impressed with it. All the ditches, normally with road grader, you got these big clumps to deal with. There's no clumps with this. It grinds that stuff up to it's ready to roll across the road.
And
Vegetation, it grinds up, does it grind rocks? It doesn't grind rocks, does it?
no, but I'm sure it did break a few up, but the bigger rocks, it just bounces over it. In our neck of the woods, we're gonna run that risk that we might break a disc or two here and there or bend some. There's just no way around that, but.
Are you talking about the purchase of one singular?
Yes.
What's the cost?
This current one would be $18,450.
And what kind of mount system?
It is the Balderson lift group. It mounts on the front of the motor grader.
Front mount system?
Yes. I believe that's a much better way to go due to the fact that your speed is your friend when you're using those. So you need to travel at a fair clip to effectively make it work. And looking behind you with obstructions, signs, culverts, everything else, I think you're going to be a little bit more aware with all your concentration staying out front.
So do you change the angles of these things?
Yes. We did some playing around with it. The way it was initially brought out wasn't necessarily the way it worked the best for us. So we did some adjustment. I think if a person bought one, there could be some more adjustment that could be done to maybe fine-tune it even more. And as the employees use it and get familiar with it, I think it'll work better there too.
Is it, I assume it tilts as well as...
Your up-down is basically with your plow, and then you drop your wing on separate hydraulics.
It was impressive. We'll bring a lot. We can bring a lot of material back
It's a maintenance thing. It's not something. I think when a couple of our guys first saw it there, and I didn't have everybody show up because it's more of a demonstration for like Bob and I, and if you guys wanted to see it and whatnot. But it's a maintenance machine. It's not designed to pull ditches and do your heavy work. They were expecting it to be, throwing a bunch of material, but that's not what it's for.
So what's the theory? That it rotates around the county? I mean, if there's one machine, you're going to train every single operator to use it? You're going to put it on one person's grader and have him go around? What's the theory here?
More than likely, was thinking about mounting it on the spare blade, and I think each operator would probably have to learn to use it. We're just not set up to where I can have one guy dedicated to go do it. And
You can maybe do 2 or 3 guys. That will one guy from each district.
yeah, there's a possibility they could work together and do something like that.
They were running 8-10 mile an hour. That thing like that.
More than that.
I mean, they can cover the ground. It's unbelievable.
And when is the prime time to be using it?
I would say in the fall to the spring, when your vegetation's dry, when your vegetation's dead. That is optimal. I'm not saying it can't be used other times of the year, but when your vegetation's dead, you're going to have a lot better luck.
So you think this will eliminate curb and guttering?
It would definitely help. It's not going to eliminate it because once you got it, you got to get rid of it before you're not going to have it anymore. But after it's gone and the guys routinely use this, say once every 2 years on each road, I think there's going to have
so fast?
Yes, they should have a huge benefit in that.
I think that's one of the real problems we're having right now in my area is that the curb and gutter of the water is not getting to the ditch, and so now we're running down the sides of the road making new ditches.
Yes.
And, I guess the thing that I see, and I know that you just can't keep moving over to get that curb and gutter because finally you're going to be out in the guy's field. I mean, it's one of those things that's hard to control.
It's
You
an
know,
ongoing process.
over time, because and it's just like in my yard. The edge of my yard builds up over time if I don't keep it break down or knock down, so.
They were working on the road west of the Catholic cemetery south down here. And, you know that gravel gets blown off the road and stuff, but I was amazed at how much gravel that thing was.
And then the other thing is that if we have a bad winter and they're plowing a lot of snow, that's when we lose
Kicks
a lot
up
of
a lot
that
of
gravel.
gravel, too.
We lose a lot of that
Yeah.
gravel.
Sometimes that may get skipped further than that will reach, but not all of it.
Your budget looks pretty good, except we've got an oiling project.
We got an oiling project, yes, sir.
That we're going to eat up $250,000, right?
At least, I'd say.
I guess.
And who's going to be doing that? Your bridge crew, or
What's that?
Who do you have assigned to do the oiling project?
Oh, it'll take
About every-
quite a few, well, not everybody. I think there's several blade guys that are going to be able to stay in their routes, but, bridge crew for sure, the truck drivers for sure, and then it'll take 1 or 2 blade operators, maybe 3 of them.
We're still short an operator, correct?
Correct.
One blade operator?
Correct.
Any applications for that, or?
I need to check with Deborah. I think some have came in.
It's an operation. By the time you gotta do the flagging and everything, and the
Pilot
room,
car.
the rollers, it's an operation.
It takes quite a few.
I think it's a good idea, Michael. I guess I would like to wait till fall to look at the budget.
Okay.
It's something that we won't be using right now anyway. We don't have time to use it.
At least
But I
get
think
the
it's
oil.
one of those things at the end of the year that looks like there's plenty of money. We'll know. Have this road gritters come in?
Not yet. I'm hoping shortly.
Did we have one hauled off this week or last week? Or was that a commercial one that went through by Barn? There was one, a cat on a truck, I know that, headed east, and I just wondered if it was us or whether it was some guy just moving his equipment. It was pretty nice looking. I wasn't that
I
close.
believe it was.
I think over a period of time, this thing will pay for itself just to save the gravel.
Yeah.
It'll take it's not gonna happen overnight, it's not gonna happen the first year, but
I think it could happen the first year if you had an open winter to where you could, well, I can't say year, but extend over 2 years, I guess. But one winter, I think that you could potentially,
So how long
Retreat.
does the, chips, I'm gonna keep calling it chip seal because you guys are calling it that. Does that project take, like whatever one you're doing this year?
in the years past, it's usually taken us pretty close to 4 weeks.
So like a month. So you're gonna
Yes.
pull some motor grader operators off of their routes for a month. So what happens in that time? I mean, I'm just trying to picture here. If you have 10 guys, 10 routes, you take 4 away, let's say, to do this project. And so those 4 routes don't receive any attention necessarily unless there was some kind of weather issue for a month. If that's possible, then what are we expecting of the other 6 who could potentially get away for a month to do some other kind of project intermittently in that amount of time?
We go backwards when the guys do that.
What do you
That's
mean
the
backwards?
problem. It's work's not getting done
What work?
on the roads, whatever they're going to be doing for the day. So sometimes somebody might have to go over and assist in their territory, whether it's blading some dirt roads, cutting weeds or whatever it may be. But, a lot of times, I guess we've made it work. You go backwards. We don't have enough employees to be able to have the blade guys be on their route during the oiling project. We just don't have enough people for that. There's not a way to get around it.
Have you ever given instruction that when it's dry out, not to blade? Or are you just allowing each blade operator to be on their own route? and blade as they see fit?
Bob's pretty much doing the daily assignments on things. They know, and they've been told that, you know, unnecessary dry blading is not recommended at all. But in the summertime, you do need to go hit your dirt roads and cut your weeds and stuff like that, or you're going to have a problem with overgrowth, and then you're dealing with windrows that are tall and you can't get rid of them.
Are you talking about the side of the road, on the outsides of the road, or are you talking about in the middle?
To the edges of the road and even the center of the roads. Dirt roads that don't get traveled a whole lot. You know, if you didn't blade them at all, you're going to end up with the wheel path down them and weeds knocking mirrors and stuff like that.
So are they to be mowing along the sides of the road to
Yes.
keep that? So mow or blade the side to keep the weeds at bay?
I think he's talking about blading the road.
Blade the
actual
road, mow the ditches.
If you don't blade them, you'll have weeds in the road just on a dirt road. And if we don't have a mower that mows the entire road, you 5-foot mowers.
You can't spray them.
Oh, they get sprayed, but weeds will come back. I don't know how many times a year you'd have to spray a road, and there's so many roads that you can't spray due to the vegetation that's planted there. You know, if there's milo or beans, you're pretty much shutting your sprayer off, so you're not killing
So
crops.
if you're saying the blade operators that you pull away to do these particular projects, for example, the chip seal, if you're saying they get behind, are those routinely the same routes that are getting behind where you're seeing more deterioration on the road and less ability to upkeep as far as shaping them, crowning them, keeping gravel on them since they're gone for a whole month in the summer, not working on them?
Blade guys, they're not necessarily gone the whole time. Usually the blade guys get used when we're chipping or patching. When we're in our chip seal, I don't know if we have any of the blade guys when we're actually doing the chip seal. So they're not gone the full month. You know, we might have one guy fill in if somebody had happened to be gone to help flag or something like that, but they're not usually down for the full month. I don't know what Bob's got for assignments, which employees where, but
I
we
guess
should.
if we go back to talking about some type of regional oversight, and you're talking about someone who has a route, you know, what can be assigned to that person minimally so that other people can help maintain whatever that 100 miles is to free up that person's time to be going around and checking other routes? Because I think what we're seeing is a lack of consistency as far as all the routes go. You know, it's kind of like good luck if you get one that wants to do it one way or you get one that wants to do it another way. It just depends on where you live or what road it may be or how often they do unnecessary dry blading or don't, or whether they do take it upon themselves to mow. I mean, is someone going around saying, hey, you haven't mowed this? Because I know up in like the northwestern section there, I had quite a few complaints last year about mowing. And was that because they weren't there for that month during the chip seal project, and so they got overgrown, and the musk thistle was spreading because someone wasn't also telling, because the blade operator wasn't there to tell the noxious weed that, hey, we have a problem here, we need to spray. I mean, how is that working or not working, I should say?
What exactly is your question? There was a lot there, but I didn't.
Well, how are you ensuring that these 10 routes within our county are being maintained with the same standards? That's the question. What is your method of assurance that all 10 routes are being treated in an equal manner with the same expectations, no matter who the operator is, no matter whether they're gone for 3 weeks on a chip seal project or on vacation or whatever they're doing? Because we've heard a lot of things recently in the weeks, you know, coming from the management of the department saying, well, they're not doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. So who does that responsibility ultimately falls on you? So how are you ensuring that those 10 routes are all being treated equally by their operator or having the same expectations? Who's giving them that instruction, and what are they following to know what that expectation is?
Bob does the daily instruction. As far as consistency, I guess I don't know how to answer that, I guess. Every blade guy's got their own style. I mean, what works for one person might not work as well for the next person, so they do things a little bit differently. I know that sounds crazy, but with a machine like a motor grader, and I will honestly tell you I'm not an expert on one. I have not had the opportunity to spend a lot of time on one, so I'm not an expert on the motor grader. But
So let's say with this reclaimer,
okay,
how are you going to ensure that it's being utilized across the board, or what are the expectations for it? I mean, if you're not going to have one guy that really knows how to do it and that zips around during that time of the year, then you're basically just, going to put it up for grabs and say, okay, there's 10 of you. I'm not sure how that's going to work. It seems like one isn't enough, to be honest, but...
I think one would be an excellent place to start. I know a lot of counties have more than one due to that reason, but I don't think I want to jump in and buy 2 or 3 of them until we've had enough time to work with one to know that it's worth the investment. But, you know, ideally, yes, it would be awesome to have one person that could run around all 4 or 5 months of the winter there, utilizing it with a blade guy in that route. I would love that, but I just don't have the staff to do that. You know, I don't think there's any blade guy that wants to give up time in their route, because they complain about it even during chip seal, you know, even if it's 2 weeks, you know, that they're out of their territory. They have a lot of responsibility. They have a lot of things that need to get done.
Hats off to you guys doing chip and seals yourself. Other counties hire contractors, and it costs a lot more money.
We tried that.
Costs more and quality was less.
Quality was terrible.
Quality got-
I mean, it was,
Problem.
We just bought a new machine last year. Not brand new, but new to us.
we always did it ourselves, and then our old distributor got bad. The cost of the distributor took a while. So we went to contracting, and it was unbelievable.
First year it worked pretty good.
Yeah.
After that, it went downhill fast.
I mean,
Where were they from, Salina?
No, Southwest Kansas, I don't even know where they're out of. Leota, Circle C did it the first time. And they did it the second time. And then we switched and had High Plains do it third time, and we sent
They
them
put the wrong material on the road. And we finally looked into it and discovered the possibility of renting a distributor for, and it was,
cost effective.
yeah, it was very cost effective. We're getting a lot better job there. Those guys are doing it for X amount of money.
Right.
And the faster they get it done,
Yep.
That's
Where
what
they
the
can do the
more
next
money
job.
they're making per day.
Yeah.
That's all they,
Paid by the mile.
that one year they had the wrong material on the road.
Yeah.
They did it. They
Well,
did it
they
anyhow.
did it on purpose. Cheaper for them.
Are you finished now with OS 67?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so we're not gonna purchase any rock to put on the
Not at
banks.
this time.
Have you looked at it since it rained?
I have not been up there since it rained.
Where did that dirt come from?
What dirt?
The
Believe
dirt
they-
that was packed in along the...
Probably from the bridge itself. When they excavated it out to put the sheet pile in, and they backfilled it with,
Nothing was hauled in additionally
yeah, some gravel was.
underneath.
They might
I mean,
have-
what's on top is not gravel. There are some boulders that roll down the hill, but it's dirt on top.
I'm guessing that was what they excavated out, and then they backfilled with a different material than what was already there.
There's a lot of big, according to Bob, there's a lot of big boulders, and they can't drive that sheet piling through it, so they had to excavate all the larger stuff out. And I think he put that and some other material on those wings.
Yeah.
And he came
I'm
back.
assuming though it's under, because everything that's there now that's visible to the eye is dirt. And there are some boulders that look like they roll down the hill into the creek bed. But I'm saying underneath, it's not just dirt, there's rock under there. I'm assuming. I don't know. Bob did that?
On the edge of the road or in the road? What's your question where there's rock at?
The bridge is like this.
The ditches.
This is crooked here, but the bridge is like this, okay? And all this area, and this area, along each wing wall, or whatever you want to call this is all piled with dirt.
Well, I think Bob said that had a riprap that had dirt over top of it, didn't
Yeah. Over the years, oversized rock got put in there and dirt compacted with it.
But this is fresh. This isn't like old.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering.
That
if
was
it hauled
excavated,
in or
no,
filled.
that was the excavated dirt and rock, and then they backfilled from, I don't even remember which pit they got the material from. If it was over at the lab pit or what.
It looks like he addressed what I was talking about, the issue on this southwest corner where the stream comes and kind of swirls around and creates this marsh that's actually behind the foundation of the bridge, because it seems like they packed that in pretty wide. I mean, I still think for long-term fix, you'd need some rock on that, because as it washes, rains, as the current cuts into that dirt, I mean, I just don't want to see us back
You're
there.
talking right, let's see, so there's the north arrow.
Is this
This would
south?
he? That's no.
Yes,
South and north?
yes.
Okay,
So you're
right
talking
here.
like,
Yeah, see this whole area? See that different colored green? That's all marsh, cattails and whatnot, because it's very soppy for several feet deep. I mean, you get stuck in there with a boot. And so this cut through here in the bank here, that's all just been wear and tear over time. There's some swirling going on across the way there too, but it's swirling here, cutting back, and right there, before they re-excavated at that point, you could see clear back. It was cutting in behind what you'd call the piling, I guess, for that corner.
with the wing.
Mm-hmm. But it's what went down in, right? Which is, I mean, metal.
Be the sheet pile.
Yeah, sheet piling. Okay. So he did come out here a good ways. I don't know, maybe 25 feet, I'm guessing, to the west to kind of, I'm hoping, pack that in. But what I'm saying is it's still all dirt. So as that continues to have a flow against it and you're going to have rain wash, I don't know why there wouldn't just be some rock there. I mean, for all the more it would cost us to have rock hauled, and we had our equipment there, of course we didn't now, but I'm saying, in my mind, a longer term fix is to go ahead and secure it, not just let it wash away what's been done. And that's why I was asking him how much rock is underneath that. You know, are we talking about just a foot of dirt and the rest of it is rock? Or are we talking about 3 feet of dirt that can all just deteriorate away over the next, 6, 7 rains? I don't know. I just want to make sure we're not back there next year dealing with the same issue, or even 2 years from now. We need to fix things on a more permanent basis. If we have to spend a couple $1,000s to get some rock out there, let's not worry about it again for a while. We know this is a critical area because it's the first flow from the lake, and it's one of the only bridges that's even open on that road.
Yeah, 'cause the right of way, let's see. Yeah, could you line that whole side of the channel with rock? You guys. When I first went out there, I was right here where it comes and makes that bend. Because it comes in like over here and it makes a big old bend, and it's really taking out the bank here, and then it's hitting this, and you can see this big tree and all the roots kind of exposed here.
Right.
So that was my big concern, but it's like 20 or 30 feet from the actual right-of-way, so it's not a huge issue now.
But when it flows there, it hits there and goes directly almost across before it aims down the channel.
It drops its silt over there too, though.
Yeah, so it takes this out. And
The
drops.
channel at one time was further south, where it's all cattailed. That was where the channel was at one time.
Well,
It
that would
made
be behind the bridge, though, because the bridge, the end of the bridge, is at least 10 to 15 feet to the north of where all that marsh is being, is sitting. So, I mean, unless it didn't go under the bridge, I mean, it had to have gone, unless you're saying it swirled around even more than it does now, but that would definitely explain why everything was exposed. All the foundational material of the bridge was exposed before they covered it over. Did they drive any new piling or just left what was there?
Sheet piling. The structure itself's a sound structure. It just had wall problems where the salt water had ate through. So we basically put a new wall on the outside of the existing wall.
Same width?
Yeah, everything's the same. The bridge, same size it was.
No, I mean the piling, the sheet piling that you drove in was the same width, the new piece, as was the old piece. It's just in front of it.
Yeah, they want to.
Yeah, they put it horizontally. We put vertical in. I mean, yeah, we're deeper in the ground than what it was prior, and it sheets the same size of what the bridge was.
So did Bob do that whole project, or did you order, or I'm just trying to get a feel for how that's been
I ordered the supplies for them.
according to like specs that we were given through the engineer, or how did?
Yeah, we discussed how far we wanted to go deep and
Yep.
ordered sheets accordingly.
Yep. We try to get 6 foot underneath the bottom of the channel.
And the bridge crew did that?
Yes.
So you would like to see, you said riprap be placed, or some rock or something placed around.
I mean,
Under
on
that
both
wing.
sides of the west, if you want to do it right, you should do both of the west sides where that water's coming. I mean, I think that's going to
Within our right of way.
Sure,
That's,
yeah. Yeah. Who is the landowner of that corner on the south side? Or north, I guess, either or.
I
But
think north was Lines, I believe.
seems like that would be right on the north side, unless there's some.
This
kind
is
of-
an old directory, I guess. 11. Mine shows Lawson owning
That would still be them.
the whole section.
That would still be them.
Oh, okay.
If they got married. So on the, what about, on the south too?
Yeah, it shows them owning the whole section there.
I can't see them having a problem to make sure that we just get in there far enough with some rock. I'm sure that would be okay, but I feel that it would be prudent to do that. Ultimately it's your call, but I really don't want to be here 2 years from now having the same letter that we received this year about it, because it had been neglected for quite some time, understandably, but my theory is fix it right the first time. And now that we've had some rain to pack that down, it might be an appropriate time.
Yeah, we can revisit it.
Thank you.
Bridge crew has moved to Maze Road, pretty much straight east of town here, to work on a bridge, the footings. They're going to put some false footings in on a double box. And we should have that done if the weather works good within a week or two here. Trying to get as much mowing done as we can, keeping them running as long as the machine's running. Had a few minor breakdowns, nothing too major on the mowers this year, so. I have engineering agreement. If you also choose to use Kirkham and Michael for our biennial bridge inspections. Same price quoted this time as was last time.
Yep, so they're
2
doing,
years ago.
scheduled to do them
October.
October, yep. Same thing, same report like last time. We'll take your bridge files for a month or so. Probably Dennis Weaver, our certified bridge inspector, will come out and inspect the bridges. We'll come back, we'll enter all the new data into the web portal for the KDOT requirements. Then we go through and build that report like last time, update it with all the new information. And then we can submit, a copy to each of you, a copy to Michael, obviously, for his files. And then we'll bring back the bridge inspection, the bridge files with all the new pictures and SINA and everything back. And then we'll put them back with the county. Yeah, so same price, like Michael said, as last time.
When does this have to be completed? By the end of the year?
October. So, yep.
Who else bid on it last time?
Oh, I believe Schwab Eaton,
That sounds right.
and maybe, I think we called BWR, Bootker Willis Ratcliffe.
Maybe we
And I don't believe we got a response back from them, if I remember right. I guess I'll give my opinion on this. I know exactly where you're coming from on the bidding of your bridge inspections. I'm not saying that there's not another company out there that might give you a cheaper bid. I believe there is much value in having the engineer you work with and their firm that we are working with do your inspections, and everybody's cohesive and they understand your structures and they've worked with them more than just one time. I've seen a lot of counties that bounce around low bid bridge inspections. Their files come back jumbled every year. Not necessarily done properly. I guess you see it a lot more than me, but I mean, it's just, if Schwab Eaton, if John Pichette was still working for Schwab Eaton, I would recommend still using their services based on what he knows of Lincoln County and our bridges and stuff like that. But since his retirement is the reason we chose to seek other firms' work. But
Well, for me, the bidding process isn't about always the cheapest price. It's our obligation to the public when we spend the money to show what the options are where we spend our money. And then they know where we're choosing to spend our money, and it's not just a continual relationship with the same company. I mean, and I don't have a problem with that. And I appreciate your service
see
that
where
you've
you're
given
coming
us.
there,
But I'm saying as people who are spending the money, it's more of just an obligatory standard protocol, not necessarily you're always shopping around for the best discount. Although sometimes that's nice.
I would say our reports are a lot better than
a
the
lot
other
more
firms.
extensive than what I've
If you guys
seen.
want us to change anything, add information, we can adjust it, kind of tailor it for your guys' needs.
Well, this is what it gives us the codes for the ratings, right? We get all the
Yeah,
codes
just
for
efficiency
Yep,
ratings.
yep, yep. So if you want to see more in something and get rid of something, or we can tailor that report to your guys' needs, which I think that's what we did last time for Michael. He liked to see the ratings and all that stuff, so we tried to tailor it for him.
Well, when we're
Professional services, you don't technically have to bid those. So some counties just go based on qualifications. They just want to get the best product. Some other counties will do that, but it's
Right. I just don't feel that it's prudent to always take that exception. Just because you're not mandated by the state to take bids doesn't mean it's not a good idea to take bids just because. I mean, it's up to the board, obviously, not me. I'm just giving my opinion.
yeah. And I want to say last time we adjusted a lot of stuff from the previous engineer. We could go and update stuff that was incorrect and all that stuff. So I remember it wasn't a money maker for us because we did spend some extra time to update things and that kind of stuff.
I think it's important if we're using engineering firm to utilize their services. I think bouncing around is not. John Cachette for 30 years because he had been the county engineer here years
Right.
ago.
Yeah.
And he knew the bridges by name, not by number.
Right.
You know, and you're that familiar with the bridge. And you see it year after year after year versus seeing it once every 2 or 3 years whenever you get the bid.
I move we enter into an agreement with Kirk and Michael for engineering services for the biennial bridge inventory and appraisal. For $18,270, $90 a bridge, same as a year or 2 years ago.
I will second the motion.
Well, under discussion, I'd just like to say you can present both bids at the same time to the commission. It doesn't mean that there would have to be a delay in the vote if you knew this was coming and you bring more than one bid, etc. And just to reiterate, it's not always about the price or jumping ships, skipping through companies, but it's just prudent as someone who's spending someone else's money to make sure that they're aware of what's out there. Because for all the public knows, this is a high price. I'm not claiming that. I'm just saying for all the more that they're aware of what they read that we do, it's important to just let them know that we're being cautious and conscientious.
The problem is we have too many bridges. 203 bridges in this county is ridiculous.
Yeah, it'd be nice to be in southwest Kansas, have 2.
Yeah. 4 bridges in your county. Yeah, that'd be nice.
Maybe have more gravel.
Looking at one county for I was doing their office and bridge program application thing. I was looking at the bridges the other like 20. I was like, to be honest, you're not going to get selected for any of these.
Yeah.
Probably just don't waste our time.
There's no further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Okay. I don't have
How
the
many do you
16
need to
report.
sign?
So you did the 16 report?
Yeah, we did the
2.
last.
I don't have that one.
1 for us and 1 for them.
It's not that one.
Actually, 3.
This is annual though. This isn't financial.
Oh, okay.
Let's
I
do all
have
3
I
together.
have 12 and 14. These are Schwab Eaton's from those years.
Yeah, right back.
This.
If you need a copy, you've got some extra copies of the last biennials, the 2016.
Of the actual inspection report, I have 1 copy.
Okay.
I think Bob may have a copy too.
Okay. Okay.
There should have been 3 copies delivered here. And just the 1 signature, please.
Thank you for that, and then we can date it on the front.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Got my signature.
Do you do this with the pictures of the bridges and the?
Yep, yep. So in your bridge file, you'll have your first couple,
Geo-reference
2 or 3, your first 2 or 3 pages will be those photos. And the state requires you to take, downstream and upstream, one of the superstructure, one of the substructure. They have all those requirements.
Okay.
So yeah, we put the pictures, and then behind the pictures will be the SINA, which is the structural inventory and appraisal sheet. So after you get in the web portal, and KDOT web portal, you enter in the new information, and you reprint the SINA for that inspection cycle, and then that'll go next. And then usually just put them in chronologically, so you'll see the old 2016, you'll see the new 2018 ones. And if there's any annual inspections, those will be in there also. So, yeah, we do thousands and thousands. There's one guy that's just dedicated to doing bridge inspections. Okay.
So, do you have anything else?
Yeah, I got one more thing. Last time we talked about the Offices and Bridge Program application. I have a draft kind of put together, and I called around probably 8 to 10 people, and I've got 4 letters of interest into the project. So,
Letters of support?
Yeah, letters of support.
From citizens?
Yes.
Yeah,
And
school board, and then
What
Post
bridge?
offices.
What's the number on the bridge?
off system 107.
107.
Yep. The school. I've got one from the school board. APAC. It's court sites right there, and then 2 individuals. and then the post office. They said they'd be willing to put together one fifth along the mail route. So we included that in the application, that it is a bus route and a mail route. So to be honest, I think we have a pretty good shot. This application's looking a lot better than the other ones I'm doing. So hopefully we get selected. So.
Thank you for seeking this out.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for letting me do that.
When do we know?
So the applications are due August 3rd, so I'm gonna probably check back in with the other people that I haven't heard about letters from, and try to get it submitted by the end of the month. And then it just depends on what the state's doing. Sometimes it'll take a couple months, sometimes it'll take 6 months. So
More than likely, I'd say it's October, November.
Yeah,
I think
this
their
fall.
selection would be.
So 2 months
They
or so?
haven't announced a date yet.
yeah, they don't really tell you when they're gonna have it done. Usually this fall sometime.
I think it
Fall, winter.
depends on how long it takes them to review them if they get.
Right.
How many applications?
Right.
So out of curiosity, that application that you're doing, have you been doing that under our contracted time for you once a month, or is that going to be a separate project billing out for
No,
that?
I'm doing it for free. It's just something we do. So we try to help the counties out the best we can. And we were charging for it, and then let's just do it for free. So
Thank you.
yeah, so don't expect any bills or anything for it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, thank you guys.
Y'all have a wonderful week.
Thank you.
Let it rain to the northern part of the county.
Yeah.
Huh?
Let it rain up here in the northern part of the county.
We had rain Friday.
Well, the center part of the county. There was rain coming
It all went just to the south of us this morning.
Hi.
Yep, thank you. I'm glad I got to go a bit early.
Hey Greg, I guess you're up.
Got Mark Woodard here with Cummins. We'll talk about some maintenance
How we doing?
programs for
I've
generators.
got some things here for you. Nice to meet you.
Perfect.
Nice to meet you. Just some information kind of on what we do. On the front left, too, there's a quote. Sorry about that reach. There's a quote. Now, on this quote here, it is kind of the full meal deal. And so it's going to give all the different services that you might possibly want. I'm not going to say that you need all of them. Some of these things we're going to have to find out exactly where you land. A lot of these things, since it is a long-term care facility, are decided by CSM. And that would be the fire marshal who comes around and enforces those things, and makes sure that you're in compliance with those. So, a little background. The hospital's joint commission in anything CSM is when there's any federal dollars involved at all, and that's when the fire marshal enforces that. Both of them adopted Life Safety Code 2012 this year. So, in turn, NFPA, which is what the fire marshal will look at, it went up to the 2010 version. So that's kind of what we're trying to cover right now. And as that changes, that'd be one of the things that we try to do is to provide information and the solutions to getting through those things. One of the things that we have on here for the 8944, for example, is the diesel fuel testing. And that's something that's new that you have to do annually. In 2013, that takes a jump up to a little bit more expensive test because now they're looking at the longevity of the fuel and things like that. That's nothing you have to worry about now, and it would just be when they make another jump, you know what I mean?
As if the oil industry is going to allow that. Sorry, just teasing.
No. Well, you just don't know what these people... Before they jumped up to the 2010 version, they were using the 99 version.
That doesn't surprise me.
So, I mean, yeah, all of a sudden, that's crazy. So, what we've got on there is a full service. An inspection would be done 6 months after that. The load bank is an NFPA load bank. Now, one of the things we may want to do on a load bank test is see where your load is throughout the course of a year. according to NFPA, all you've got to do for an annual is put 30% of the nameplate rating on it once a month, every month, for 12 continuous months or 1 year. If you fall below that 30%, then you're going to have to do one of these NFPA load bank tests. Now, the reason I'm saying that is right now, there's a couple factors, but right now is going to be the high draw time of the year because it's summer. You're running air conditioning and chillers, things like that. The other problem we run into is you'll get a little blink, and most facilities, they do this early in the morning because the people working on their computers or whatever they're doing, they don't want that blink and then resetting everything. So when you do it early in the morning, there's not as much draw. So for those reasons, a lot of times we don't hit, the 30% for 12 consecutive months. This would satisfy that condition. The full service and allows us to come out, of course. We're going to make sure you're doing all your paperwork, and to make sure that we get that fuel test in there that's required. We're going to make sure that everything's up to par. We do a lot more than just oil changers, and that's going to be listed, all the additional checks and things that we do on this very back page. That covers everything, labor, travel, getting it done, everything, your filters, oil, whole 9 yards. And then the inspection would be, like I say, 6 months after that. Typically what we'll find on these is we'll do at least the one service, and how often do you want us out here? How important is it? We've got some people that we go quarterly because they want to make sure that the equipment works. That in this situation may be a little bit excessive. I wouldn't think that any more than 2 times a year would be necessary.
You said you do the hospital now. You do our hospital.
I don't know if we do. I'd have to go back and check. We do hospitals. I do quite a few hospitals.
I don't know if it's common or not.
I'm not sure what the hospital's running.
I don't remember. I was thinking it was not common.
Is it green? If it's that green, it's ours. If
I don't think it's that green. You'll do everything that we need done to keep us in compliance with the fire marshal, is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll do everything on these visits. There's also going to be, and we'll help you keep compliant. You actually have to keep a weekly and monthly log too. And if you want me to come out weekly or
no, that's me.
Yeah, I do that. Wouldn't going to be something you want to do. But I'm going to go after this. I'm going to go help him get those logs, for example, and we're going to load those out there. We're available for any question, any consulting that you may have. And as things change and need to be updated, then we're available. Like I said, for that, we'll stay on top of that.
This is a 1-year contract.
It is a 1-year contract, and you can opt out. That's what I would do for the automatic renewal, and then we'll just quote it every year. These are actually agreements, so this is not even a contract. 30 days written notice, you're done. If something happens.
Is this where we purchased the new piece of equipment?
Correct.
Yes.
Well, we sold it to the electrical contractor more than likely, yeah.
Right.
I actually work for Cummins Engine Company. I'm out of Wichita, Kansas, is where I'm out of. And it's a Cummins generator, of course.
If there's a problem with the generator, are you the people that's going to get the call?
Yep. Yep, it's going to be under warranty. Also right now, and this is gonna be something else, what's on my top of my head, it's true with us, Caterpillar, Kohler, doesn't matter who it is, but as things become more and more computer or electronic oriented, they can't talk to this generator with their computer software. It's proprietary. I can't talk to theirs either, you know. So to be able to do any updates or anything like that, you know, it's just like taking your Ford car back to the Ford dealer, Chevy to the Chevy dealer.
So this agreement amount, $2,153.23, that's for 2 inspections for the year?
That's for an inspection, a full service. So we'll do the complete inspection, plus we'll change all the oil, filters, that whole 9 yards. And when we inspect, we not only inspect the generator, but we'll also inspect the switchgear. That's out there as well. Then it's also for a load bank test. And then it is also for the fuel sample. So
The service is $1,000, $988.
And that's switch
And what is
gear.
the warranty that came with it?
I'd have to go back and check, but I believe, if memory serves me, I believe it's a 5-year warranty.
And is the warranty subject to annual
Yes,
maintenance? On at what frequency?
annually. It's basically subject to manufacturer's recommendations, which it's going to be annually or 250 hours. Now, you're going to have a long outage to get 250 hours. So most common is definitely annually.
Do you offer a multiple year agreement that's contracted as a set price?
Absolutely. You want me to take this price out and you want me to extend it out to 3 years? That'll lock you in at this price.
Right, but it's set and not going to incur any increases for the next several years.
Right, and the expectation is that obviously you'll stick with this for 3 years. Like I said, it's not a contract, it's just an agreement.
Right.
So if we did have
But
a
you're
major
basically giving a
fall,
set quote price that is not going to be subject to change if you do it annually.
exactly.
Is this that price?
Right.
Times
I
three?
can,
Or what do we get for a deal here?
well, that's what I'm saying.
The
I can
longer
take a
we
look
go,
at it.
the
I
better.
can extend it probably this. I don't want to take a look at it. It'll be very close to this, or I very well may be able to extend that price. Absolutely.
I think maybe this is a decision we should make a few months from now, and maybe make a few other decisions, and we should look at an extended
Sure.
price. If you can
Sure.
give us a deal, I think
Sure.
we'd be willing to do a few more years on that.
Absolutely. Well, what month are you talking about?
Well, this has the quote for the inspection in December, and then the full service in June, which would be about a year of it existing, right? If it was put in June, so as long as we signed up with you before December, you could do your December inspection. 6 months later, do your service, which would still be a year from
Sure.
the installation date. So before December.
And it would actually let us, my thinking was that let's get off some of these air conditioning days and maybe
Loads off.
see, maybe
How
see
it's
what your draw.
operating between now and then.
Yeah.
Yep, and what the draw is when it's not so
Can you
hot
bring us
out.
back a good number?
I bet maybe I can extend this one for 3 years. And you've got my card here, each one of you in this here too.
So is that what we're going to look at a 3-year?
Well, I have no problem. We're gonna have to do it. I mean, that's the bottom line. And if we wanna do a 3-year, I don't have any problem.
I mean, I don't see anything with prices going up if we do it annually, so maybe we should just go ahead and,
Lock it in.
right. In a few
Once you give
months
us
from
a multiple year quote, we can do that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
Because we don't
I'll,
have to do it today.
Right.
We've got till December.
Absolutely.
Basically.
I tell you, typically what we do is what we'll do, the shooting straightforward with you. I've got people just like insurance that renew, and they renew contracts for me. I'm the sales guy. I go out and I talk. They look at what the margins were, And, we typically will probably have a little bit of a price increase unless the margins were really good. We never increase over 4%. But that would be the top every time, and if the margins weren't good, then yeah. I'll tell you this too, I've got this price right now with the travel and stuff one way. I'm making the assumption that we should be able to. We do plenty of generators, even if it was Salina. We'll pick something else up while we're
From
while we're
Wichita
on
to
the
here.
road.
Yeah.
But if something was to happen and they had to come out here and get it, then that would hit the margins and stuff like that. So it would protect you from all those things.
Thank you. Just 3 years old.
Okay.
We've got a couple of bids here. You found another bid on this deal?
Correct.
I thought it was 2 units and the 9 area.
Yep.
Remove and replace fan coil units. Installation. Street for $5,350. And Mid-American Water and Plumbing for $6,800. I'd assume it says hydronic piping is required. That's the same as this miscellaneous parts for installation on the other bid, I would assume, huh? I'd move to accept the bid from Street Plumbing.
Yeah.
Have a motion to approve the street plumbing bid for the units in the dining area. Second.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Not all those in favor say aye. We had a deal here while you were here with Kristen about carpet.
Workroom, wasn't it?
Oh, for the workroom? Okay, yeah,
Can it
I
be
don't know a
stretched?
lot about it, but, I don't think so, Aljo. I believe that's glue down carpet.
Oh,
Coming loose.
Huh?
It's coming loose.
Broke loose and it's really warm.
so is it
What did they get an
original?
estimate for?
$600 and some dollars.
Okay,
From Lincoln Building Supply.
okay.
But that's just the
Was
carpet.
it original, you think?
Who's gonna install
Oh,
it?
God, it's been there as long as I have, just 12 years.
Mine in the house is doing that too. I just pick my feet up higher.
Do they have somebody to install it? Do you know?
Does it say anything on the installation? Because I have a feeling, is this that squared stuff I heard?
It doesn't say installation, it's just to purchase
I
it
have a
from
feeling
Lincoln
that's
Buildings.
me. That's kind of how that works. Is this that square stuff I think I heard Krista talking about, or Jonathan? It doesn't say, but I think this is those carpet squares. And I believe that's a glue down or self-adhesive type stuff. So that
Could
would
you
more
get-
likely be myself doing
Could you
this.
give us some clarification on that? As to what it is? If
Sure.
it includes installation or what it is?
Sure. Yeah. Just give you guys a call or,
Yeah, get Terry.
okay,
Send on an
Call
email.
Dawn or something, whatever.
Sure.
We'll come back next week or something.
okay. Yeah, I have a feeling the installation's gonna be, you're looking at the guy.
Yeah. We only pick the best, remember?
Feeding me.
Well, and if you're gonna be the one putting it down, we wanna make sure it's what we want to put down,
Right.
you know.
I believe,
Or
if this is the square stuff, it's the same stuff they have at the ASCS office, if this is the same product. Which to me looks pretty nice.
They call it contour tile.
I bet you that's the same stuff.
What they're trying to sell our community,
I'm
it's
not
ours, our
sure
community building.
what it is, so. we could get some clarification on
You
that.
want me to Google what it is?
Concord tile.
It says it's concrete.
Yes. It says 32 of them, so they have to be separate squares.
Yeah,
Because there's
it
an
about has to
actual
be.
quantity and a price for
200
each.
square feet,
But
it's
there's
32,
squares.
it's 32 carpet squares apparently.
It says carpet
I'm not
tiles.
sure that's the greatest price, though, $20 a piece, because I've purchased that before.
When it comes to carpet, generally I don't install, but something like that I could probably handle.
It's just Legos for big kids.
Yeah.
Unless it goes back years ago to the old flat blue,
Yeah,
then it's a whole new ball.
it's a whole new ball game, but that shouldn't be in that hall.
I wouldn't think so.
No, shouldn't be.
They used to glue foam back carpet down with that black.
Oh yeah, and my basement's had a chunk of that on that. You talk about heck getting that.
Oh, mercy.
Mhm.
Okay, anything else for me?
I don't think
Thank
so.
you very
Get out of your hair.
We can get
Thank you.
clarification for that on.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I will, I'll give you guys a call back. Thank you.
Has the audit ever been done for the council on aging?
They, at the last council on aging meeting, they hadn't got it done back yet, huh?
I went to the last Sylvan Senior Center meeting, and they said they received word that their audit is done, their portion of the audit, but they weren't going to receive it until the council received their entire audit because it was all one package. So however long that takes, they thought it might have been a couple weeks yet.
We have these letters now with the schools.
We didn't read these this morning, did we?
I don't believe so.
2 letters were drafted for the commission, reiterating what was presented as projects to be funded through the funds that we designated to USD 298 and 299. And so each letter goes to the school board and addressed to the superintendent, basically designating the dollar amount and what project is listed. So for example, replace boilers and hallway fan coil units and window air conditioning units and the roof for $299. And then 298, what does that one say?
298, it's $914,025 for 22 exterior wall-mounted air conditioners, heating guard units for classrooms, 2 cafeteria and 2 gym RTUs, and 1 mini split for the kitchen and 1 mini split for office, and 3,175 square feet of window and replacement, and $5,975 for the Lincoln Junior Senior High School with replacing the direct fire units.
And then it just states in the letter that if the bids come in under the estimates, to please return the remaining funds so that we can redeposit it to the web fund. So I move to approve letters of understanding to USD 298 and 299.
I would second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I think Don provided today some interesting facts, I think, from the levies of 298 and 299. Lincoln County, 298 valuation is $35,646,848. A little over $528,500 is from Mitchell County. When we get to 299, their valuation is $31,195,082. I will round these off Lincoln County total was around 17 million, a little under 17 million. Mitchell County, they received 2.7 million. Osborne County, they received 5.3 million. And Russell County, they received 6.3 million. Basically, about half of the valuation of 299 is not in Lincoln County, and I think Lincoln County has stepped to the plate to provide money for those counties that they would be taxed for, and I certainly hope that is taken into consideration the next time these projects come out. Lincoln County cannot continue to pay the taxes for those other counties. That's all there is to it. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
With no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So Aljo's going to be gone for a
Yes.
couple of weeks. So we scheduled the budget hearing on August, or not the budget hearing, sorry, to work with the budget on August 6th, the Monday before the election. And if I remember right, I think I put 10 a.m. and then we would work on the schedule. I just want to kind of remind you that is the election coming up, so I may have to be in and out of that.
Are you gonna hold off on agenda appointments, or how are you planning on?
That's what I thought I would do agenda items first and then auditors.
At 10 you said, so 8
Yeah.
to 10, 8 to 10 is agenda, and then 10 on.
I would.
I believe, now that I say that, maybe I better go back and look and see what I did with the auditor, because maybe we just went ahead and said 8.
My suggestion is that unless the appointments and the business needs to be taken care of, we take care of the audit, or the budget, and
First.
suspend the other.
Just not
part.
schedule anything unless
Yeah,
someone
unless it's
shows
just
up with an
absolutely
emergency.
necessary.
Do you have anyone on there?
Not yet, so.
I would agree with that.
I just think that's important that we get it done, and we're working under a time schedule of election, and I'm sorry.
I would agree with that,
It's
yeah.
gonna go on.
There's nothing
Okay.
pressing.
So I will just not schedule regular unless there's some kind of an emergency that might come up, and then we will work with the budget, and then we'll have to approve to publish to meet all the deadlines, but I mean, we can probably hold off on a week. Technically, all of the budgets are supposed to be approved by August 25th, but we all know that we don't do anything with them until October, so hopefully we won't push too much past that.
This is your pile, Dawn, I believe.
That's empty envelope.
Thank you, Don, for that letter. I
Yes,
think we did a good
that,
job.
yes, and that's extra work
Yes,
I will take that to Leanne then and have her disperse and then.
with the check in the.
Well, there's no further business. I guess we will adjourn until Monday morning, the 23rd. I get to go to Salina today.